Yo, what's good? It's your boy B-Dell. If you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. But today I'm going to be decoding the paradigm of the Vedic simulation of reality that's controlled by an economic system that's on the decline according to Vedic numerology and astrotheology, right? So that's basically the segue to transhumanism by merging humans with cybernetics, which is the foundation of a technocracy that's controlled by a totalitarian New World Order governmental system, right? So with all that shit being said, this is what you call the October surprise. The surprise that you're going to be facing economic calamity. The surprise that you're going to be facing a food shortage. The surprise that you're going to get full disclosure about extraterrestrial life on the planet. And the surprise that you're going to have another shutdown, right? So there's a book that you got to get. It's called The Third Wave. And it talks about the socio-political infrastructure of democracy being destroyed due to an economic crisis, right? So first, we're going to start out with the inception of the fictitious de facto corporation that was implemented under democracy due to the fall of the Moors in 1492 on April 1st. So that's when Pope Clemens gave Queen Isabella the legitimacy to overthrow the Moors in 1468 through the Inquisition. So this is where the inception, because it happened on the first blood moon, because I told you the inception of their rule is under a lunar cycle that has a mandated cap under 6,000 years. So from April 1st, 1492, and then when you go all the way back to the equinox that's coming up in on October 25th. So from April 1st, 1492, the fall of the Moors, the inception of the de facto corporation under a fictitious government. Now, the start date was April 1st, 1492. And then the end date, where I got it at, is October 25th on 2022. And that's the solar eclipse that's going to take place. And that is exactly 193,785 days from 1492. So when you break down the numerical components of that number, 1 + 9 + 3 + 7 + 8 + 5, you get 33. That's a significant number because 33 is a Freemasonic number that represents ascension, evolution, and things of that nature. And it also represents the symbology of death of the Piscean age, the death of the Piscean age, because what age did Jesus die? Your so-called Jesus, he died at 33 years old. So that is the inception of the fall of the corporation. So that is basically talking about the transmutation of power that's going to take place on October 25th. So this is why I call it the October surprise, because the inception of all these conglomerate corporations that's connected to the fallacy of democracy is going to fall due to the economic crash, which is a financial reset, right? So now, like I told you, the significance of the number 33, when you go the Solomon's Signet ring, which is a seal diagram in a sigil that is propagated by Madame Blavatsky, right? So you notice that, these things in ancient occultism, they use all these things because, like I said, 33 is a very powerful number. It has a dualistic polarity behind it. So now, when you look at it from that aspect, we're going to go to talking about the equinox. It says that not the equinox, but the solar eclipse on October 25th. The solar eclipse on October 25th, 2022 is a partial solar eclipse that will be visible in Europe. It's going to be visible in Western Siberia, Central Asia, Western Asia, and it's going to be in plain sight in Russia. And Russia plays a significant part of everything that's going on the planet. Because what did Vladimir Putin say verbatim? He said that, the Western world is going to be facing a dark winter, right? Because now when you look at the omen aspect of a solar eclipse, it says that the ancient Greeks believed that the solar eclipse was a sign of angry gods, which is basically the inception of disasters and destructions, right? So the Tiwi tribe of New Mexico and the United States believe that the solar eclipse signaled an angry sun. So that's the gamma radiation that's hitting the planet. So when you're talking about Vladimir Putin talking about we're going to have this, a dark winter, he is basically imposing the fact that he's talking about EMP attack, which is an electromagnetic pulse deficiency. When really, like I told you, you gotta look at one of those videos I put out maybe a few months ago, because they want to propagate the fact that it's going to be an EMP when really it's a CME. Because I told you, our angry sun is gamma radiation that's hitting the planet, and that gamma radiation basically produces colossal coronal mass ejections, and those coronal mass ejections can shut down the power grid that can jumpstart a financial reset on the planet, right? So now this is why you got, like I said, I got the receipts for it. It says, President Putin, nuclear war is coming. I'm not bluffing. So this is why you got, the Vatican, you know what I'm saying? You got the Vatican moving all his money, to the Vatican Bank. They taking it out of the United Kingdom economic infrastructure, right? Because something is going to take place. This is real. So when you even look at it from that aspect, you got all these other, where is it at? You have other, you got the Bank of England says paper banknotes only good for one more week. You know what I'm saying? So while this stuff is happening, everything is happening because by way of cosmic law, all these things must come to pass. You know what I'm saying? Because you perceived everything to be a goddamn conspiracy theory. You perceived everything to be a goddamn conspiracy theory. So when the October surprise starts to take place, you're not going to know how to handle it, right? So now we're going to talk about this concept of money. What is money? What's going to happen? So when you're talking about money, you got to go to the inception of how everything was basically facilitated in this structure, in this Eurocentric westernized system, right? Because the fall of the Roman Empire, it was created, it fell due to the financial duties of the rising tax and inflation. So fast forward to 2022, that's what we got going on right now, hyperinflation. Because when you understand, let me find it. When you understand the aspects of a financial crisis is usually predicated upon, you got 4 stages. You got one stage, it's basically uninformed market participants. In the second stage, you have multiple bear market rallies. Then on the third stage, you have pandemonium and panic. And on the fourth stage, you have deflation and depression, right? So that's what they're trying to do right now. They're trying to reverse the polarity of inflation with deflation, which is going to cause an economic crash on the planet, right? Because like I told you, under Roman conquest, anytime a system is built on mass genocide, colonization, eugenics, it's only a matter of time before that system starts to fall, right? So this book reference that I'm reading from, this is called The Hidden History of Money in the New World Order, Secrets Revealed. So now, when you're talking about the New World Order paradigm infrastructure, right, which is basically a supranational authority to regulate world commerce under industry international organization, which is controlled by production and consumption of oil and natural resources on the planet. But as you can see that the planet is starting to terraform due to the Aquarian age, all these resources and things of that nature is starting to dry up because they don't have anything to back this fiat currency that they have on the planet. Because like I told you, all currencies on the planet, you had 3,800 fiat currencies and they all failed, right? So now when you go to, that the fact that, the United States is still under a British colony. And who controlled the British colony? Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth just died. So that's basically the symbology of the fact that you're going to have the fall of an economic infrastructure that was controlled by the United Kingdom, the British colony. So these things that, the Queen and everything, she controlled the Social Security number, your driver's license, the occupational license, the state and local privilege license, marriage license, hunting and fishing license. That's because all these things is connected to the conglomerate corporations, because those licenses is being traded and being monetized, that's connected to the Vatican. You see what I'm saying? Because democracy basically ended almost like 100 years ago. But the fallacy of democracy is being upheld by the fictitious corporation that controls the economic infrastructure. So all these things, you know what I'm saying? The queen was basically the chess piece on the board, you know what I'm saying, that's basically, you know, going to ruffle up the feathers of this democratic system that's on its way out. Because I told you, you know, democracy is nothing but demonic rulership, because the black nobility and the international banksters, you know, the lawmakers and the churches and all these Luciferians, you know, all these things, you know what I'm saying, is connected to the 14th Amendment. Because the 14th Amendment was never ratified because it's a fraudulent contract. And since it's a fraudulent contract, that means that you have people under a fictitious jurisdiction. And that jurisdiction, you know what I'm saying, cannot live under a matriarch, because a matriarch is connected to nature. Anything that's unnatural cannot be conducive to anything that's natural under a republic, a matrilineal system, right? So now you got that going on. Also, you got to understand the fact that, you know, what you're looking at, you know, is Babylonian blood magic when you're talking about the money. You all know that Babylon is connected to the lunar cycle, because the Babylonians, they call the moon sin. You see what I'm saying? And the moon, the lunar cycle, is conducive to the material world. The material world has a mandated cap on this planet. It's not sustainable, meaning that these things that was created under the lunar cycles got to phase out. So that's why they do these rituals that you're looking at right here. You got the Bohemian Grove and these dark secret chambers and things of that nature. They do rituals, you know what I'm saying? It's called the Babylonian Owl of Wisdom, Lilith, which is Moloch, which is connected to the ancient Canaanite occult. You see what I'm saying? So Babylonian blood magic is conducive to the Federal Reserve dollar note, which is basically the symbol of the owl. That's why they got the owl on the dollar, because the owl on the dollar puts you under the sleep spell of Leviathan, the sleep spell under, you know, King Gu, the lunar frequency, right? So once you understand, you know, all these, you know, celestial bodies is conducive to astrological alignments that's connected to their occultic practices, you can see how everything, you know what I'm saying, is being facilitated behind closed doors, right? So now when you read for more information on the Masonic occult symbols on the Federal Reserve dollar note and about the Great Seal of the United States, see, this is all like it says connected to the Bohemian Grove. So they got a ritual that they do on the money to keep this illusion going. It's called the cremation of care, being carried out by world leaders in 1990 in Northern California. This is an image from their international document. The Bohemian Club Quacentennial celebration, 125th anniversary of the founding, is an internal club publication. And you got 200, you know, elite members that's connected to this, from George Bush, you know what I'm saying? You got all types of, you know, the presidents, George Bush. You got people that's connected to the Council of Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission. Then you got the Bilderberg Group. All these people come to this, go to these rituals, you know what I'm saying, do the cremation of care to keep this illusion going. Because the illusion, you know what I'm saying, is connected to usurping your energy and your time, you know what I'm saying, which fills the system. Because when you go to work, you clock in. When you clock in per day, that's per diem. That's, you know, those are, you know, that is basically an extraction of your time that keeps the fictitious corporation going. Because if everybody agreed on the planet to stop going to work, you know what I'm saying, this illusion will easily be basically be disseminated, right? So now when you look at this chart, like I told you, America runs on its trucking systems. America runs off of imports and exports and things of that nature. And now this chart that you're looking at is basically the Federal Reserve chart that's connected to the conglomerate corporations on Wall Street, right? So when you're talking about I don't know what happened there. When you're talking about the allied corporations that's connected to the chemical corporation, when you're talking about the Eugene Meyer family, which is an equitable life that's connected to J.P. Morgan. So now when you look at David Rockefeller, who is the chairman of Chase Manhattan Corporation, he is connected to all these corporations, AT&T, so General Motors, all these motor vehicle corporations. This is why you got Toyota in places like Toyota, places like General Motors, because they're not getting any parts right now because they shut down the infrastructure of importing and exporting goods and services because, like I said, everything has to shut down in order to have this financial reset. So that's why you got certain people who work for Toyota, you got people who work for all these conglomerate corporations, people who work for Chrysler, they're not getting any parts, they're not getting any goods and services. So that's why, a lot of people, they work for 1 week and then, they off another week. That's because, like I told you, nothing that's connected to these conglomerate corporations and, that's connected to the Bank of England is not sustainable, right? Because all these things must, be shut down. So I'm going to show you, like I told you, the vast majority of everything, is happening, but that's because it's being implemented by the Galactic Federation. And the Galactic Federation are the ones that's, facilitating this infrastructure that, the economic infrastructure to fall, because they know that, the people who control this planet, the inception of their control is started through the money system, and the money system must fall. So that's why you get in full disclosure about extraterrestrial life on the planet. That's because, you're having a transmutation of power. So when these, the Anunnaki, these galactic gods, the Galactic Federation, when they come back and to this planet, which is a reality, when they come back to this planet, all these things that was controlled by the Gentiles or the black nobility, your so-called Illuminati, they got to get, they got to go. The 6,000 years is up. So with all that being said, I'm going to show you this clip of the reality, because they talking about these things behind closed doors. You see what I'm saying? These government officials, but they want to give you a false perception, but all this shit is fake because they propagate it in the movies. So when I show you this clip, these are government officials, having meetings about extraterrestrial life.
Harry, I don't know the answer to that, but I do know this, that my personal opinion is that the universe is so big, and now there are even theories that there might be other universes. And if that's the case, who am I to say that planet Earth is the only location of a life form that is civilized and organized like ours? But I'll tell you what that makes me think. I better be a better steward of what we have, because we're messing it up. But are there other planet Earths out there? I certainly think so, because the universe is so big.
An investigation was launched into this whole subject, and a document was prepared which concluded that at least 4 species have been visiting Earth for thousands of years. And this is my own view at this stage as well. So, except for that, there are just a couple of things that we've talked about that I'd like to refer to. And one was that we were referring to them as they until this morning when Linda Moulton Howe, I think she was the first one, actually named 3 different species. I have brought my latest book called Light at the End of the Tunnel, The Survival Plan for the Human Species, as an aid memoir. And I named 5 different species here. I'm aware of more now. As a matter of fact, I saw a document just a few days ago that mentioned 20. And I think you, Mr. Chairman, were interested in some of the places they might come from. And I have in here Zeta Reticuli, R-E-T-I-C-U-L-I, Reticuli, the Pleiadic.
When he's talking about Zeta Reticuli, he is talking about grays. And these grays are controlled by the archons. And the archons, like I told you, are draconian reptilians. And the draconian reptilians control everything under the lunar cycle because the lunar cycle is conducive to the material world. And the material world is an illusion because the moon is an illusion, because it's an artificial celestial body that steals energy from the sun. I'm going to keep going.
Orion, Andromeda, and the Altair star systems. So I don't think we can any more refer to them as they, because they're not an amorphous mass. They're different species and consequently may have different agendas. I don't think we can say that they all have the same agenda any more than we could say that the United States, China, and Russia have the same agenda. Our real interests may be very similar, but as of now, our perceived interests are still quite far apart. And I was glad to have Linda this morning finally say that there are live ETs on Earth at this present time. And at least two of them probably working with the United States government. The other species that I learned about not too long ago was called the tall whites. And this is when Paula Harris broke the story just a few years ago.
Now, the tall whites, they work with Donald Trump because tall whites, you know, they also work with the Galactic Federation as well. So, you know, the Galactic Federation, they also want to take down the cabal. That's why you got to get this book called, I should have bought it over here, but it's called The Deep State. And it's talking about the fall of the cabal that controls everything on this planet from a dualistic polarity.
And through her good offices, I had the chance to talk for about 3 hours with former Airman Charles Hall and listen to this absolutely fascinating story of how he was working. First of all, he was scared out of his skin. But after that, when he got to know them, how he was working with, and finally they became to trust each other and have a good working relationship with the tall whites at the gunnery range at Indian Springs in Nevada. And these tall whites were living on United States Air Force property and working in cooperation with the United States Air Force and sharing technology with them. But just as children survive the idea of the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus when they become adult, I think that tax-paying citizens are quite capable of accepting the new and broader reality that we live in a cosmos teeming with life of various sorts. The fact that some other civilizations are more advanced than we are may be humbling, but that could be a necessary step in our survival.
Larry, I don't know.
So like I said, man, you're going to have full disclosure. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have full disclosure about everything that's going to take place because, you know, just like the last video I put out, you're talking about the 7-year tribulation period. So in this time, in that time frame, they're going to have to give you the reality of everything that you perceive to be a goddamn conspiracy theory. So all these things must come to pass because by way of cosmic and galactic law through divine retribution, all these things got to happen. They got to tell you about everything on the planet, but it's up to you to have the mental fortitude to see everything for what it is. So with all that shit being said, thanks for watching. Get this video out there and I'll be back with another video in a few days. Thanks for watching.